Fellow young Africans, it is one of the greatest honors of my life to address you today. Today we live in an Africa that is in a cage, conquered in all ways by foreign powers. Africa is struggling to breathe because it is being strangled in all areas. Africa is crying, weeping and wailing, yearning for liberation. Throughout the ages, the prepared conquered the unprepared. If we must not be conquered, then we must prepare to conquer and resist vehemently any attempt to be conquered by anyone. Either we conquer or we are conquered. When we are conquered, then our fate will be determined by our conquerors. When we conquer and resist being conquered, then we will determine our fate. If we are conquered, then we are done. As Africans, our destiny is in our hands. Unfortunately, some of those who should liberate Africa are the very people lamenting while doing nothing. As young Africans, we should not join the wagon of lamentation. We should not live as if the only book in the Bible is the book of Lamentations. We should now open the book of Revelations and liberate Africa with the revelations. When you critically look at the unfortunate state of Africa today, you should agree with me that leadership is the greatest need of the hour in Africa. You should also agree with me that one of the biggest problems in Africa today is politics. You should further agree with me that politics is the common root of most of the problems we face in Africa today. The solution to every problem we face in Africa has its root in leadership. There is too much politics and too little leadership in Africa today. Leadership and politics are two sides of the same coin. The Africa we want will not be built by politicians, but by leaders. To solve the problems in Africa, we must fix the leadership issues in Africa. If we must build Africa, then we must be leaders in our respective areas of expertise. You don't need to be elected into any office to lead. You can rise and lead Africa in your field. As young Africans, the destiny of Africa is in our hands. That means we are all called to lead. Leading doesn't mean occupying any office. You can lead your community to repair a broken bridge. You can lead your fellow students to research and develop solutions to the pest destroying crops in your country. You can develop a technology that can help people in business transactions. That is leadership. Influencing and guiding people to solve a problem. That is leadership, not politics, fellow Africans. Politics creates division, while leadership brings unity. Politics creates war, while leadership brings peace. Politics creates problems, while leadership solves problems. Politics is a call to be served, while leadership is a call to serve. Politics empowers the politicians, while leadership empowers the people. Politics serves the interests of the politicians, but leadership serves the interests of the people. Leaders sacrifice for the people, but in politics, people are sacrificed for the politicians. Politics is self-centered, while leadership is people-centered. Leadership comes from within, but politics comes from without. Politics takes, but leadership gives. Leaders feed the people, but people have to feed the politicians. A politician should strive to be a leader, while a leader should never become a politician. A politician plays with the minds of the people, but a leader empowers the minds of the people. Politics is one of the greatest crimes against humanity. We should never vote politicians, but vote leaders to lead us. No politician will ever solve anyone's problem because politicians use the problems to appear relevant, yet at the end, they don't solve the problems. Sometimes where there's no problem, they even create them and appear to be solving them just to remain relevant in the eyes of their people. Every politician is for himself, but every leader is for the people he serves. Should we ever expect politicians to do what only leaders can do? Not at all. It will never happen. In Africa, we often mistake politicians for leaders and expect politicians to do what only leaders can do. Politicians will never do for us what only leaders should do for us. The change we desire will not be brought by politicians, but by leaders. Who are the leaders to cause the change we need in Africa? You and me. No one will ever come from any place and do for us what we are supposed to do for ourselves. The day Africans properly understand and appreciate this fact is the day they will rise and begin to take charge of their affairs in every area. I hope that day comes during my lifetime. In the words of Barack Obama, we are the change we have been waiting for. What a $1 trillion statement. We are the leaders we seek to cause the change we desire. In his eye-opening book, Things Fall Apart, Chinua Achebe posed this $1 trillion question. Where are the young suckers that will rise when the old banana tree dies? Take a moment and think about the question. Where are the young suckers that will rise when the old banana tree dies? What is your answer to the question? The answer is very simple. The young people are the young suckers that will rise when the old banana tree dies. However, wise young people do not wait for the banana tree to first die. They rise and lead while the old banana tree is still alive. As one of the young suckers, a few reasons. When the big elephant dies, the young ones must rise and lead. The question is, as one of the young elephants, have you risen? Are you leading? In a convoy of black ants, if the one leading the way is taken away, a leader will arise from among the remaining ones and lead. The question is, as one of the remaining black ants, have you risen? If yes, then how? What are you doing as a young leader? As typical Africans, you should be familiar with this eye-opening African proverb. He who follows the track of an elephant never gets wet from the deer on the bushes. He who follows the track of an elephant never gets wet from the deer on the bushes. As young Africans, let's identify the elephant whose tracks we should follow as we struggle to make our contributions in our respective capacities and areas. The classical African elephants include Kwame Nkrumah, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Patrice Emery Lumumba, Nelson Mandela, and Julius Nyerere, while the modern-day elephants include Professor Pielo Lumumba, Bishop Joseph Maponga, and Ambassador Dr. Arikana. Identify more of them in different areas. Let us walk in the footsteps of the elephants that have gone ahead of us. However, let us create our own footsteps. We must note that all the elephants that have gone ahead of us made mistakes, for they were not perfect and holy. Therefore, while we walk in their footsteps, let us not condemn them for their mistakes, but let us learn from the mistakes and avoid the mistakes ourselves. Wise people learn from the mistakes of other people and avoid the mistakes, while fools do not learn from the mistakes of other people and make the same mistakes themselves. As they make the mistakes, some of them never survive to tell their stories. That's how catastrophic things can be. As we walk in the footsteps of the great elephants who have gone before us, we will also make our own mistakes, for we are not perfect and holy either. But wisdom demands that we should always learn from our mistakes and never repeat the same mistakes, for making the same mistake more than once under the same circumstances is foolishness. Fellow young Africans, let us be elephants whose tracks other people can follow and never get wet from the deer on the bushes. How many people are you mentoring? Who are those following your track? Are they really not getting wet from the deer on the bushes? How are you shaking the deer on the bushes for those who follow your track? Where you have reached in life right now makes you very influential to other people, even without your knowledge. There are many people who look up to you, even without your awareness. Therefore, you cannot afford to live recklessly, otherwise you will mislead those people. As young African leaders, we should be very mindful of how we live our lives, because many people are looking up to us and following our footsteps, even without our knowledge and awareness. Mind what you do in private. Mind what you do in public. Mind what you do everywhere. Why? Because you don't know who is following you. Cultivate proper life habits that can inspire, challenge, and empower others, especially those who look up to you. If the things you do in your life, including the private ones, were recorded into a movie, would you happily watch that movie? Would you recommend that movie to other people? Why? Or why not? If the events of your life were written into a book, would you happily read that book? Would you recommend that book to other people, especially those who look up to you? Why? Or why not? What kind of life are you living as a young African leader? What kind of message are you sending to the world through your life? Remember, your life is a message to the world. Let us live lives that are inspiring, especially to the young people following us. The great Dr. Miles Monroe taught, not once, not twice, but many times, that the greatest act of leadership is mentorship. If what you learn, achieve, accumulate, or accomplish die with you, then you're a generational failure. What a statement. Remember that statement for the rest of your life. Leaders raise even greater leaders through mentorship. Are you happy when you see other people doing what you do? As young leaders, why should we mentor and raise even greater leaders? Why do we need mentorship? Why is mentorship crucial? Because life is like a relay race. One generation runs and hands over the baton to the next. The elders will run and hand over the baton to the youth. The youth should be prepared to receive the baton from the elders. Therefore, the elders must mentor the young people. By mentoring the young people, we secure our future. We shall never secure our future if we don't mentor the young people who should take over from us. We must secure our own future. No one will ever secure our future for us. To secure our future, we need good leadership. If we don't mentor the young people, then our future is doomed. In a relay race, you run and hand over the baton to another person who does the same. However, before you hand over the baton, you must first prepare well so that you successfully hand it over. You must also first properly prepare the person who will receive it from you so that he does not fail. Both you and the person who will receive the baton from you must prepare adequately. In a relay race, none is successful until all are successful. Hence, teamwork is very important, and leaders build teams of committed people around them with whom they execute their activities. Who are those around you with whom you work? Who are the people in your team with whom you are leading Africa? Who are the people helping you to build Africa? If you don't prepare other people to take over from you, then your works will vanish with you, and your legacy will vanish as soon as you vanish. There are people who leave offices, but their works never die. Their works are remembered for a long, long, long time. But there are those who leave offices and their works live with them. They are never remembered. The question is, will your works live beyond you? Who will continue with your works if you vanish? Whom are you mentoring? Mentorship guarantees continuity. Do not go with the baton in your hands. Hand it over in time. Politicians want to die with the baton in their hands, while leaders want to hand it over in time. Politicians destroy those who should receive the baton from them, while leaders nurture those who should receive the baton from them. Politicians do not want to hand over the baton, while leaders want to hand it over as soon as possible. Politicians want to go to the grave with the baton in their hands, while leaders want to go to the grave empty. Will you hand over the baton or die with it in your hands? Will the young people get the baton from your hands when you're dead, or will you hand it over to them when you're still alive and well? Will you raise even greater people to take over from you, or will you destroy the very people who should take over from you? Fellow young Africans, great leaders produce even greater leaders. Through mentorship, leaders prepare others to receive the baton from them. Have you prepared someone to receive the baton from you? To whom will you hand over the baton? Who is waiting to receive the baton from you while they learn from you? What kind of leader are you? Some of the young Africans are following hungry lions that are looking for prey to devour. You don't follow a hungry lion's trail with the hope that you will come and tell the story of how you survive. A rat cannot expect to be safe in a cat's house. The same way an antelope cannot be safe in a lion's den. The closer a rat gets to a cat, the closer it gets to its death. No prophet needs to tell a rat that the nearer it is to a cat, the nearer it is to its death. For a rat is never safe near a cat. This is common knowledge. This is common sense. This is common philosophy. Therefore, be mindful of those whom you follow, lest you follow a predator and end up being eaten. The predators are many out there, looking for prey to devour. Therefore, as you lead, may you not become delicious meal on the dining table of some hungry predator somewhere. According to African wisdom, the fly which does not listen to advice is buried with the corpse. Fellow young Africans, let us listen to advice. Let us learn and let us lead with what we learn. It is our time to lead. We don't have any other time to lead. If we misuse this time, we will never get another time. No one will give us any extra time. Your lifetime is the only time you have to lead. Are you maximizing it? Are you using what you have to lead others? What are you doing with your time? As African scholars, use your education to serve Africa. Use your education to lead Africa. Use your education to build Africa. Africa should be the first beneficiary of the fruit of your education. Let us be useful to Africa in all ways. How useful are you to your people? How useful are you to your village? How useful are you to your country? How useful are you to Africa? How useful are you to the world? Your usefulness to humanity depends on the problem you solve. The more problems you solve, the more useful you are to humanity. What problems are you solving? What are you doing to Africa with your education? What are you doing to Africa with your wisdom? What are you doing to Africa with your intelligence? What are you doing with your creativity? What are you doing with your skills? What are you innovating for Africa? You can never lead anyone in any field at any time if you don't provide any solution to any problem. The immediate question is this: are you a leader? What are you leading Africa in? What solutions are you providing to what problems? You medical practitioners, what problems are you solving? You engineers, what problems are you solving? You agriculturalists, what problems are you solving? You lawyers, what problems are you solving? You economists, what problems are you solving? You entrepreneurs, what problems are you solving? You psychologists, what problems are you solving? You businessmen and women, what problems are you solving? You researchers, what problems are you solving? You thinkers, what problems are you solving? You educators, what problems are you solving? You artists, what problems are you solving? Whoever you are, what problems are you solving for Africa? If you're not solving any problem, then you're a problem yourself. If you're not solving any problem, then you're a liability. If you're not solving any problem, then you are irrelevant. Find your problems, solve them, and you will find your relevance in solving them. Your value depends on the problem you solve. The more problem you solve, the more valuable you are. Fellow young Africans, how valuable are you to Africa? How relevant are you to Africa? Are you an asset or a liability to Africa? From late January to early February 2023, I went to Greece for the first time. While in Greece, I had the divine honor to walk in the footsteps of some of the greatest Greek philosophers like Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato. A modern-day Greek philosopher took me through ancient Greek traditions, customs, and beliefs, through which I learned some of the most powerful life lessons ever. He shared with me how the ancient Greeks classified people into 3 categories: the idiots, the tribesmen, and the citizens. The idiots, the tribesmen, and the citizens. He said the ancient Greeks believed that if one doesn't understand their position in the community, then they will never make any meaningful contribution to the community. So who are the idiots according to the Greeks? Who are the tribesmen according to the Greeks? And who are the citizens according to the Greeks? The idiots are not necessarily stupid or foolish people. They are those who are selfish and self-centered. They're always looking for personal gain at the expense of public gain. They pursue their personal interests at the expense of public interest. They have no public goodwill, no proper character, no proper knowledge, and no proper skills with which to make any serious positive contribution to the community. They pursue personal pleasures and treasures at the expense of public pleasures and treasures. They exploit the public instead of empowering them. On the roads, they drive against traffic rules. They don't have any common sense. They throw rubbish anyhow in the streets. Their conscience is dead. They are liabilities to the community. The idiots don't care about anyone. They embezzle public resources. They are the architects of corruption and bad practices in their communities. In class, they cheat exams. They are completely irresponsible. The next category is the tribesmen. Who are the tribesmen according to the ancient Greeks? The tribesmen do not necessarily belong to a certain ethnic group or tribe. There's nothing wrong with belonging to a tribe or any ethnic group, for we don't choose our tribes and ethnic groups. The tribesmen are those who have tribal mentalities. They are those who do not think beyond their cliques, religions, political parties, and other groups to which they belong. The cliques, religions, political parties, and any other group to which they belong are their tribes. The tribesmen pay complete allegiance to their groups. In fact, their only allegiance is to their groups or tribes. Their tribes are their gods, and their religion is tribalism. They are always afraid of whatever is alien to the ways of operation of their tribes. Their lives are full of suspicions and fear. They don't trust anyone who is not a member of their tribes. They don't know how to handle people. Intimidation, force, and violence characterize how they deal with people. They like causing wars and conflicts, especially with those who do not belong to their tribes. They can easily be provoked by anything that does not align with the interests of their tribes. They look at everything from the point of view of their tribes. They believe in you only and only if you are part of their tribes. They have no sense of responsibility to anyone outside their tribes. Finally, there are the citizens, the ideal people. These are the real people. They are responsible. By classifying people as citizens, the Greeks did not mean any legal status or political status or the circumstance of one's birth. They meant the idea and ideal of citizenship. Who are the citizens according to the Greeks? The citizens are those who possess the wisdom, the skills, the intelligence, the understanding, and the knowledge to live a public life of distinguished service to the community. They live lives of civility. They know that they are members of the community to which they pay complete allegiance. They strive for the common good of the community. They empower their people instead of exploiting them. They sacrifice for their people. They serve with dignity instead of demanding to be served. They know and fulfill their roles in the community. They make their contributions to the community to make it better. They know their rights and fight for them with the complete awareness of and the respect of the rights of other members of the community, including their enemies. They disagree with people, but respectfully. They carry out activities that promote the general well-being of the people in the community. They are patriotic. Their conscience is alive and alert. They respect traffic rules, even if no one is watching them. They drive within the required speed limits. The citizens are the only people who make up a civilized community. They are compassionate. They sacrifice for the well-being of others in the community. When serving in government or public offices, they will never steal, even if they get opportunity. They resolve issues and differences with civility, wisdom, and understanding. They mend fences instead of destroying them. They build bridges instead of destroying them. They promote peace instead of wars and conflicts. They respect their offices. They respect themselves. They respect other people. They don't misuse public resources for personal gain. They do things the right way, even if no one is watching them. Their integrity is unquestionable. Their character is impeccable. Their honesty is unmatched. They are disciplined. They won't cheat exams, even if they have the opportunity to do so. The citizens are the ideal people. Everyone should strive to be a citizen. The citizens, the idiots, and the tribesmen are the three categories of people according to the ancient Greeks. A tribesman can be oriented to become a citizen. An idiot can be turned into a citizen by proper enforcement of the law and training. Leaders are citizens, while politicians are either idiots or tribesmen. Putting a politician in a leadership position is like putting a square peg in a round hole. A square peg will never fit in a round hole. In the same way, a politician will never fit in a leadership position. There is no shortage of idiots and tribesmen in Africa today. Most leadership positions in Africa, from the village up to the presidency, are occupied by idiots and tribesmen elected by fellow idiots and tribesmen. The American comedian, actor, and author George Carlin was right when he said, "Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups." Okay. What a statement. Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. That statement sends shivers down the spines of citizens. Never underestimate the power of idiots and tribesmen in large groups. Any bunch of idiots and tribesmen can elect fellow idiots and tribesmen with their numbers. They can bring a great country to its knees. They can obliterate great progress achieved in many years. They can cause mass destruction, whose consequences many future generations will bear. Is this not what is happening in many African countries today? If you don't feel bad about the vices of the idiots and the tribesmen, then there is something seriously wrong with you. In fact, if you are not angered by the acts of the idiots and tribesmen, then you are one of them. Citizens are angered by the vices of the idiot and tribesmen. Today, Africa is in short supply of citizens. Be one of them. We can't expect idiots and tribesmen to deliver what only citizens can deliver. Idiots and tribesmen have no sense of responsibility to their countries. Our task as young African leaders is to nurture people into citizens. For that to happen, we must first of all be citizens ourselves. No citizen can make serious contributions to their community if the idiots and tribesmen in that community far outnumber the citizens. Fellow young Africans, there is a big task ahead of us. There is work to do to shape the future of Africa, starting right in our respective communities with what we have. The work is nurturing citizens so that we can build the continent. How many citizens are you nurturing? Young Africans are the future of Africa. The Africa we want will not be built by idiots and tribesmen, but by citizens. Are you a citizen? Are you a tribesman? Are you an idiot? What are you? One of your greatest contributions to your people, your country, Africa, and the world at large is to be a citizen, even when no one is watching you. I ask again, are you a citizen? Woe to a country if it's being led by idiots or tribesmen. Woe to a country if it is full of idiots and tribesmen. occupying key positions of leadership. Woe to a people if they are being led by idiots and tribesmen instead of citizens. We should guard against idiots and tribesmen. They hate citizens eternally. They always eliminate citizens because they view them as obstacles to their evil activities. If you set out to be a citizen, watch out for the idiots and tribesmen. They will eliminate you at the slightest opportunity. When I went to Turkey for the first time in March 2023, I landed on this powerful Turkish proverb. The forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because his handle was made of wood, he was one of them. Ha! What a proverb. I repeat the proverb. The forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because his handle was made of wood, he was one of them. What a proverb. The idiots and the tribesmen are like the axe. They will pretend that they are part of us. They will draw us close to them, and then they'll destroy us. The idiots and tribesmen are wolves in sheep's clothing. Deal with them wisely and intelligently, lest they send you to the grave before your appointed time. Just carefully analyze any sector in your country and you'll be shocked by the number of idiots and tribesmen occupying public offices. You may wonder why services are not being offered the way they should be in certain areas, in certain sectors, in certain offices. Wonder no more. The idiots and the tribesmen will never deliver what only the citizens should deliver. The idiots and the tribesmen do not have the interests of their countries at heart. They don't have the interests of the people at heart. They have their personal interests at heart. They will never build their countries. They never elevate their people. They will never serve their people diligently. They are there to destroy what citizens have built. Africa will never realize her potential if she is governed by idiots and tribesmen instead of citizens. No society that is ruled by idiots and tribesmen can ever realize her potential. It is your choice to be an idiot, a tribesman, or a citizen. What is your choice? As young Africans, the future of Africa, what are we? Are we idiots living selfishly, destroying our countries and by extension the continent? Are we citizens serving our countries with discipline, diligence, honesty, and integrity? Are we tribesmen who do not think beyond our tribes? The great English poet John Donne wrote a poem called For Whom the Bell Tolls. In the poem he said, each man's death diminishes me, for I am involved in mankind. Therefore send not to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Fellow young Africans, the bell tolls for you and me, calling us to build Africa. Shall we heed the call and make our respective contributions as citizens, or shall we ignore the call as idiots and tribesmen? Between the day on which you are born and the day on which you die is a dash. The dash is your life. How big is your dash? How many dashes will your dash inspire? What message does your dash send to other people? The whole world is your mission field. Don't limit yourself to only being a citizen of your country. We were born in Africa, but for the world. Make your contributions to the world starting right where you were born. Don't forget your roots, no matter where you go in life. Remember, there will always be work to do where you come from. Go back and put other people. Show them the way, work with them, lead them to work for themselves. Raise them to become citizens who will raise even greater citizens. You are a global citizen on a global mission in a global arena. You are a citizen of the whole world. You belong to the whole world. You have a special place in the world. You can best lead if you occupy that place. The question is, have you identified and taken up your place in the world? Today, leadership remains the greatest need of the hour in Africa. Leadership is the greatest need of the hour in Africa. The leadership vacuum in Africa is pathetic, appalling, and alarming. The onus is on us, young Africans, to fill up that vacuum. Remember, nature abhors vacuum. Do you see the leadership vacuum in Africa? Can you recognize the leadership vacuum in Africa? Are you aware of the existence of the leadership vacuum in Africa? What will you do to fill up that vacuum? Thank you very much. Long live Africa. Long live young Africans. Long live Africa.